Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Previously on Small Embers. The Order of the Heron have freed Alexa Storm in hopes that she will uphold her end of the bargain and destroy the Aramikos which infects the region. With that destroyed, the Curse of Illuminator will break, and Vampire Lord Wulf Ericsson will be vulnerable to death, giving them one opportunity to exact their revenge for the death of their friend Augustus. This must be accomplished before Emperor Salazar's forces can descend on the undefended region. In the city, helping the local population is the powerful Rojan master, Serafina, who is tasked with stopping Ericsson from fleeing, but also providing an escape when the time comes. With the rain lashing down and blue cloaks stationed around the battlements of the courtyard ready to help, the Order of the Heron stand side by side. Petren Oakflower fighting for the forest and the balance of nature, seeking to undo the corruption created by Ericsson.
You know, back in my grove, I imagined coming face to face with Wulf so many times. You know, I imagined what I might say to him before I dealt a killing blow. And I thought it through in my head, and now the time's arrived, I've realised I've nothing to say to him. And he draws his quarterstaff with menace.
Seeksorrow, a newcomer fresh from the fright of his life, having seen the dead rise because of Ericsson, grips his great axe.
Seeksorrow looks at the warden and tightens his grip on the axe and just says, "Time to put the dead where they belong."
The broken form of Vander Finnick stood in the rain as Bellerophon answers his master's call and takes his place on his shoulder.
Ah, Bellerophon, you choose to join us at an opportune moment. Wolf, you should know, he's a fighter.
And Bellerophon's tongue licks around his toothless lips in a salacious grin of wanton violence.
And finally, Tock and Tick brandish their magical swords, their faces stoic and impassive. By the open great double doors stands Wulf Ericsson, Warden of Lumitorn, Vampire Lord, and the slayer of Prince Fabian Augustus Zeno Donothlian. He draws his glittering blade of power.
Enough of these games. You have my attention. Now you will feel my fury.
Roll for initiative.
11 for Seeksorrow.
18 for Tock.
3 for Vander.
13, Petren.
Okay, we are at the top of the round with Warden Wulf Ericsson. Ericsson's eyes keep moving towards the battlements. He's aware of an ambush laid by the Blue Cloaks. Sneering, he identifies Tock and casts Steel Wind Strike.
Oh no.
That sounds bad.
And he rolls 23.
Oh, he's roll big.
How nasty does this seem?
Steel Wind?
What level is it?
It is level 5.
In which case, so that is higher than Tock's AC, but Tock's left arm and shield glows a brilliant blue colour, and the shield sort of like expands in size and catches the steel wind, blocking it from hitting Tock.
A blast of energy flies towards Tock, but his enlarged shield absorbs all of the power of the wind. As you look back, Ericsson vanishes.
Ah, of course he does.
And that is the end of his turn.
Where's he gone?
We don't know. We don't know. He's not on the map.
He's turned himself into an invisible virus.
You caught me, Mim!
Brilliant. I almost went there, but I thought Sword in the Stone might not be a reference to the kids. I was wrong, clearly.
As you're stood there staring at the empty courtyard, with the rain continuing to pour down, all of a sudden, to your right, you hear a wet squelch as a body hits the cobblestone floor. Then a second, a third, and a fourth. Blue cloaks are raining down from the battlements.
Well, we've all got cloaks if we want them.
And from on the battlements, Wulf Ericsson jumps off, casts Featherfall, and lands gently, surrounded by the corpses of the fallen Blue Cloaks. From above, you hear shouts of terror and movement as the remaining Blue Cloaks begin to scatter.
But they've fallen off the west wall.
I don't think they fell.
Yeah.
Next up is Tock.
Right. Good grief. He's out of range. I'm alarmed at his level of mobility.
You have grappled a dragon.
Yeah, so he's far away, so this is the problem. So Tock could get into contact, but then he's almost certainly going to be able to move away in time. Okay, Tock and Tick are going to interpose themselves between Wulf Ericsson and Vander, and they're both going to shoot with their airlocks. Is a 17 to hit.
Miss.
Crap.
That's terrifying.
And roll 2 is a 21 to hit
Is a hit.
for 8 bludgeoning damage. That isn't magical. Oh, hang on, no, but it is silver. It is
Is silver. Yep. Tell the story. Not tell the story. Sorry. Describe the attack.
Wolf is the weakest. I didn't bank on that, did you?
The warden is actually a balloon.
Yeah, it was a wolf burst. Too much blood.
Okay, so Tock misses, but Tick manages to wing Wulf Ericsson just on the corner of one shoulder, and you see a tiny spray of blood, but mostly his clothing's damaged.
Petren.
I'm going to move sort of diagonally north to just outside the gate from which we entered, and I'm going to cast Erupting Earth. So that requires a dexterity saving throw.
14? Feels like a fail to me.
That would be a fail, yes.
Interesting. In that case, he's going to use his first legendary resistance to pass that.
So that is 3d12 halved. Oh, fuck. So I've rolled 7.
Wolf actually gets stronger.
Yeah. Petren takes a few steps back towards the gate from which he entered and draws himself up to his full height. He stamps the mighty quarterstaff down on the cobble of the courtyard and, with a barely perceptible shift of his head, scratches out a shape. The ground all around Ericsson tumbles up, the cobblestones cracking and breaking, earth fountaining into the air. But unfortunately, it is not particularly accurate. None of the larger slabs that erupt land on Ericsson's body. He's showered with small stones which do some damage, but nothing significant.
Wolf is going to use the last of his legendary actions.
So Charlie, you look confused. He gets 3 basically interrupts per round.
Yeah, no. He's burning through them though, so he can't. When he doesn't get any more, right?
He does next round of combat. So
Oh
after
my
his next turn,
God.
he gets another 3.
Really wish he'd burst now.
Warriors of the past, your master has need of your services. Rise! Rise!
Fuck no!
The 4 dead blue cloaks that he's just killed, he brings back to life.
Actually, that's what it was, yeah.
Seeksorrow.
Seeksorrow sees the terrible power of the warden, and he sees from the position of his new friends that he's first up, and he thinks of the sad deaths of the Seeksorrow men of his line, but then he grips his axe and goes, "I love you, Mum," and runs forward to engage the warden. He will attack the warden with his great axe, please. 22.
Is a hit.
Nice.
7. Hang on, does that mean I rolled a 2?
Yeah, it must do.
When I roll a 1 or a 2 on a damage die with a two-handed weapon, I can re-roll.
Very
Nice.
He's so on the ball.
11!
Hey.
Seeksorrow charges up to the warden and half expects him to disappear or turn into a swarm of bees or something, and he's very gratified to discover that his unwieldy first swing with the axe actually catches the warden and appears to do damage.
Why is it always bees?
Look,
Scariest
bees are legit
animals.
scary. Yes.
Yeah.
Can't trust them. Yeah.
Extra attack, so Seeksorrow is going to go again. 14. Yes. And I would also like to action surge, please. So,
Yes.
an extra action on my turn. And so I'm going to. Seeksorrow is simply going to swing again with the old reliable axe. And that's a natural 1 for 9.
Reroll, right?
That means you get to roll again.
Oh, yeah, hang on.
For damage, yeah.
Wait. No, that's a damage one. No, I don't. I think I don't have anything I can do about that. I can reroll damage. I don't think I can reroll an attack.
On the plus side, you must look like a berserker in there.
Swinging away. After a wild swing that Ericsson didn't even have to duck to avoid, he just swung it over his head. Seeksorrow swings back with the axe one last time. That's another natural 1 for 9.
Yeah.
Augustus isn't dead. The curse lives on.
Yeah.
That is astounding.
Seeksorrow, under his breath, mutters again, I love you, Mum.
Oh.
The dice are not with us so far, are they?
Vander Finnick.
Vander casts Mirror Image. Vander waves his hand, and 2 more Vanders step out from behind him, taking up their places either side. All 3 turn to look at Wolf.
Already bleeding, Ericsson, and we've barely begun.
Ericsson surveys the battlefield, and his fingers ripple as he casts a gaze at Tock and the imposing 6'8" shadow he casts. Tock, can I have a DC 17 charisma save, please?
Okay.
Oh, he's hit him right where he's got no stats.
Yep.
If only we had someone in the party who could do a charisma.
Exactly. Throwing a charisma-based attack at a large calculator, that's just not cricket.
Doc is 100% going to be using his genius to try and stop this. So it was DC 17, right?
It was.
Flash of Genius adds a 5. Doc gets a 17 on charisma.
Oh my god! Inspiration from the Casio calculator. Amazing.
For a moment, it looks like your shadow is threatening to separate itself and create a new enemy. But with a stamp of your foot, it goes back into its place, unaffected.
As it should.
Badass.
Very, very... Jesus Christ.
We will enforce pronumbral regularity here.
In the far distance, the sounds of screaming dies away. There is a loud crack of thunder, and the vegetation around the courtyard, the creepers and like, begin to shiver. Through the cracks between the cobblestones, small sprouts and growths unfurl, green in colour, finally fighting back against the corruption that has blighted these lands. And we are back to the top of the round with the Warden.
Oh, is that not the Warden's turn?
Nope, that was the end of turn 1.
I doubt the Warden used his turn to kill the Aramicus.
No, I meant when he tried to do Tock's shadow.
Oh.
The spell, yeah.
Oh shit, what was that?
That was a lair action.
Who, what now, action?
It's a lair action. So you are in Wulf Ericsson's castle, which is his lair, and as such, there are lair actions.
Who told us to fight in here?
Is there an argument that we're surrounded by reanimated corpses and Seeksorrow is a gravedigger, so we're also in Seeksorrow's lair?
Do you have lair actions for your character?
After what the Warden did, I'm slightly disappointed we brought him so many cadavers.
Yeah.
Wulf is about to cast Reverse Gravity. Can all of you please give me dexterity saving throws?
What level spell is that?
7.
Holy shit. Vander casts Counterspell. Oh, I'm going to have to roll for that, I take it.
In order to succeed, it will be a 17. You need to roll 17 or above. Because there's a level 7 spell, and it's 10 plus the spell's level for Counterspell.
That's 8 or higher, right? So we've got a slightly over 50% chance.
I'll roll for it.
Okay. DC 17 Arcana check, please.
Here we go. 13.
You did not succeed. The spell is blunt force traumaed all the way through.
Sorry, I used lucky. I want to roll again. I want to roll again. I'm going to go again. That's another 13. That's agony.
Can we argue that? I mean, that's not lucky, is it? So you should get to go again.
Dexterity saving throws, please, everyone.
Ooh, 20.
Success.
14.
Failure.
Fuck it.
8.
Failure.
Natural 20 for 22.
Yep, that is.
Seeksorrow does a flip.
As Wulf Ericsson raised his hands, all those of you who failed, you begin to fall upwards. You rise up into the air 100 feet. Jesus. And then hover.
It says all creatures, right?
Yeah.
So the zombies do as well?
Yeah, they're gone.
Okay.
So those who succeeded, which is Petren and Seeksorrow, I believe. Do you want to? Did you roll for tick, by the way? Do you want to roll for tick?
Oh yeah, good point. Actually, I didn't. We forgot to. 8 for tick.
And having raised you up into the ground, Seeksorrow, you're able to grab Wulf Ericsson's sleeve and are kind of dangling in midair, holding onto him.
Get off me!
And then he waves his hand again, and you all fall back to the ground as he ends the spell immediately.
Vander casts Featherfall. There you go. And I've got 5.
Presumably you're not casting it on the zombies.
Well, only 3 of you have gone up in the air.
Yeah, it's only the Emperor and his 2 droids.
Well, actually, that's kind of helps out because he's just got rid of a bunch of zombies.
So the 3 blue cloaks smash into the ground at high speed for the second time.
Vander, Tick and Tock touch down lightly as Vander's hands go back into the sleeves of his robes.
That's the end of Wolf's turn. So next up is Tock and Tick.
Tock is going to run into combat next to Seeksorrow, and Tick is going to flank him on the left. Tock is going to lift his sword, the dark blade, high into the air, and as he does so, the other characters will see his hand seems to be like coloured white, like there's some kind of like white paint or something mailed on his gauntleted fist. He will call out, "Deity, designation, Tyr. I vow to avenge your fallen champion, Fabian Augustus Zeno Denothlian. I request your boon."
Oh, massive. Absolutely massive.
I mean, how could Tyr reject such a heartfelt...
He didn't save Augustus himself, so...
Tyr says no to Augustus. Tyr says no to Petren. Who's saying yes to this?
Vengeful god. Vengeful god.
The symbol of Tyr is a gauntleted white fist. So Tock's hoping that using his holy symbol and invoking his champion, he's going to actually respond.
There is a crack of thunder and a bolt of lightning crashes down onto the dark blade. For a second, the rest of you see as Tock glows golden, and for the briefest of moments, you see the outline of a golden top hat atop his head.
Oh, yes, please.
Amazing.
Okay, right. He's then going to proceed to try and insert that sword into Wulf Ericsson.
You better hit now, buddy.
Okay, right. So Tick is going to, rather than attack himself, is going to do the assist action. Try and give Tock advantage.
Nice.
And Tock will strike. Okay, that's gone okay. A 29 to hit.
Yes.
Yes.
So that is for 16 piercing damage and unfortunately only an additional 4 radiant damage from the smite. And then Tock's going to attack again. A 20 to hit.
Wulf Ericsson casts Shield, and that misses as the blow bounces off of a smoky shield that appears before him.
Tock lunges forward with the dark blade in a sort of like overarm strike, and the thrust slips in just underneath Wulf Ericsson's shoulder joint. The wound kind of like it seems to glow as the blade is taken out.
Lovely. Wulf Ericsson is going to use one of his legendary actions, and he's going to make an unarmed strike against Tock.
Or like kick him in the shin.
16.
Foolish vampire. My shins are plated with steel.
Clang. Petren.
Yeah, so I'm in Reeve West, and I am casting Summon Elemental.
Ooh, nice.
Which
What?
elemental are you summoning?
An Earth Elemental. Petren takes a few steps to the west, so he's still some distance clear of the kind of general melee around Wulf Ericsson, but close enough to see what's going on. And he seems to mutter to himself and says, well, I've been saving this for a special occasion. And he pulls a gold vial from within his robes. He uncorks it and pours the contents onto the ground, and then quickly describes the shape in the puddle that has formed with the end of his staff. And instantly, an earth elemental pulls itself from the earth. Its head and body of dirt and stone, with club-like arms of jagged stone swinging at its side. Petren is now concentrating.
Cool. Noted.
So on completing that spell, Petren simply vanishes. There's no attention on him, and so nobody sees as he slips into the mist. The elemental is going to do what comes naturally and make its slam attack.
Smash!
16.
Is a miss.
But he should have advantage because Tick is on the other side.
23.
Way.
So 2d8 plus 5. Oh, you're kidding me. I've rolled 2 1s for a 7.
Whoa. Ouch.
But I do get a second attack. Okay. The elemental gets a second attack.
Cool. Remember to do it at advantage.
Yeah. And that is 11.
It's a miss. Wulf Ericsson, wise to the first attack, manages to escape the elemental's grasp.
Damage rolls have been dreadful so far, haven't they?
Wulf is going to use another one of his legendary actions as he simply steps between the melee combat and moves away. Not drawing any attacks, because legendary actions of movement do not draw opportunity attacks. And now it's Seeksorrow.
Seeksorrow sees Wolf slipping away and goes, "No, you don't," and just legs it after him and slashes once again with his trusty axe. 11.
Miss. Wolf dodges the first attack.
Okay, well, you've guessed. He's going to attack again. Natural 20 for 28.
Oh, nice.
And I want to point out at this point that I didn't last time. I'm hoping you kind of clocked it, that the axe has got silver on the blade.
Yes.
So that's a crit, right?
And now that's a 1 for a damage roll, so I can re-roll that.
Ah.
Okay, that's 9 and 13 slashing damage. And as a great weapon master with a melee weapon on my turn, if I score a crit, I can make a melee attack as a bonus action.
Go for it.
So just swing again with the axe.
Swing again, dear boy.
20.
Is a miss because he's got his shield up. So his AC is currently 23.
Wowzers.
So the hit comes down, but once again, this shadowy shield protects Wulf Ericsson.
That concludes Seeksorrow's business for the time being.
Wulf Ericsson is going to use a legendary action after Seeksorrow's turn. And you see him look up to the walls.
You promised me you would protect me! We had a deal! Rise now!
And you can see some of the Aramikos formation begin to bubble up and turn into a humanoid form. Vander.
Vander turns to his shoulder and addresses Bellerophon.
Look, Bellerophon. The vampire is trying to escape. I think it is time we fought, as we did in the old days.
Bellerophon's mad little eyes fix on Vander's for a second, and then narrow as they turn to face Wolf. Sucker pads going like pistons. He makes his way down Vander's body and alights on the ground. Bellerophon's sucker feet turn to claws and grip into the stone. As his body expands, powerful legs now give way to a thin, muscled torso, ending in muscular arms, and the soft skin of Bellerophon transforms into lizard armor tipped with spikes. A long tail, barbed, now lashes backwards and forth. and where Bellerophon's cute head was, now lie rows of fangs and lizard eyes fixed on Wulf. Ruffian screams at the sky, forked tongue flicking out as he does so, and begins charging directly at Wulf. I told you he was a fighter.
So, hang on, how big is this? Is he bigger?
He's
than
9
that?
feet tall.
Oh, much bigger. Okay.
And you can control him immediately after your turn.
Ruffian charges directly at Wulf, and he is just going to sink his claws into Wulf's torso in an attempt to hold him. D20, so that's 15 plus 9, 24.
Is a hit.
Amazing! 9. I'll take it. The Bellerophon bounds, talons screeching on the stone of the courtyard, and throws himself into combat with Wulf. The 2 clawed hands come down either side, and claws embed themselves in Wulf's torso, but not deeply. Wulf is clearly incredibly powerful, so the claws have purchase, but only do minimal damage.
The skeleton's turn. He steps up into combat with Tock. Go on, boy. I believe in you. With an 18!
Nowhere near. Oh. Stabs Tock with the short sword. It goes clang and skitters off to the side.
So mean. You bastard. As we draw to the end of round 2, Ericsson, suddenly realizing he's surrounded, bellows.
You swore me your soul, Sergei. I need you.
Seeksorrow, in the corner of your eye, a spectre of a long-dead warrior appears and grabs at your temples.
Good.
17?
AC is 16,
So that's a hit.
arguably.
You could make that point.
If you're claiming that numbers run in some sort of linear order, then yes.
Please take 9 necrotic damage. Oh. And can I have a Constitution saving throw, Seeksorrow? DC 10.
You sure can. 15.
So there is now a shadow of Sergei Ericsson now floating next to you. And that is the end of turn 2. The battlefield has changed drastically since the combat started. Wulf Ericsson stood in the centre of the courtyard, finds himself surrounded by Seeksorrow, Tock and Ruffian. While to the west, the Earth Elemental battles the remaining zombie Blue Cloak, and to the north of that, an invisible Petren stalks the battlefield. To his east stands Vander, surrounded by 3 mirror images of him commanding the attacks of the transformed Bellerophon. The rain has reached a torrential level of downpour, as the late afternoon sky remains dark. Flashes of lightning illuminate the chaos of battle. Then, a distant crack of thunder, like a cannon firing. Seconds later, the creepers on the castle walls and in the alcoves suddenly burst into blackened flame and wither on the vine. Despite the stormy conditions, through the clouds overhead, for the first time in days, you start to see beams of sunlight threatening to break through. And we are back at the top of the round with Wulf Ericsson. With a bang, Wulf Ericsson disappears and reappears. Oh, fuck! 25 feet away.
Misty step.
Misty step. And he draws his sword, the Ancient. And he's going to take 2 attacks with the Ancient on Vander, followed by a 3rd attack, which will be a bite attack.
Oh, man. Okay.
Bitch, Vander.
That's right. Thank God for mirror image.
27 for the first attack.
Okay, well, obviously I can't deflect that, but then the question is which Vander? So
So what do you need to deflect?
a 6 or higher.
Okay.
I used lucky because I've rolled a 3.
That was a 3 for the first roll.
Yeah.
Reroll.
Okay. You've got the wrong guy.
Okay. He does 30 damage on the duplicate, which bursts.
He does indeed burst.
Attacks a second time with the sword. 28.
That sword has got a plus 14 modifier.
Well, I mean, he has a plus 14 modifier. That's not.
Okay, so this time I've got to roll an 8 or higher. Lucky again? Can I do lucky again? The last lucky?
It's your last lucky. Yep.
Oh, he's just in there with a 9. Ooh.
Second of the 3 duplicates bursts under the attack. And with the third and final attack, Wulf Ericsson bites at Vander. 19.
Has he got shield?
I've got shield.
Oh, he has his mage armor up as well, didn't he?
I've got my mage armor, so
say
19.
He did.
Let me look.
I don't think it's enough.
Let me check that.
You don't think the 19's enough, or you don't think shield's enough?
I think shield takes it to 18. Ooh. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's one thing you don't want to happen. It's getting bit by the vampire.
So armor class is... No, 19 beats it, meets it there, right? Meets it, beats it. So I'm going to have to roll an 11 or higher for the final Vander to...
Okay.
Yes! 16! Unbelievable.
And Wulf grabs at Vander, pulls him in, and sinks his teeth in. And the moment he bites in, the third Vander pops into dust.
Roar! Wrong again, Wolf.
Says the final Vander.
Who now looks a bit lonely.
Wow, best spell I've ever used there. That's all 3 straight away.
Yeah.
I've exhausted a lot of your abilities there. I'm not unhappy about that. Tock and Tick.
Okay, so we're a long way away from Vander now, aren't we? 50 feet. And I've got a zombie next to me. Okay, do I just ignore this zombie? I might just ignore it and just run anyway. Yeah, okay. Tick is just going to make a beeline for Wulf Ericsson. As he's turns and runs towards him, charging him, his limbs almost turn into a blur as he casts Expeditious Retreat. Although in this case it'll be Expeditious Charge because he's going to be charging him, and I'm just going to absorb the attack of opportunity because I think that
Okay. The one blue cloak skeleton swings his mighty short sword for 11.
Yep, it does nothing.
Clang!
Tick is going to follow along at a slightly slower pace and will end just next to Vander, trying to intercede, protecting with his shield. Tock can still attack though, and he will. He's going to attack with the Dark Blade, and I think he has got advantage. Vander is providing advantage, fortunately.
Before you roll the attack, Wulf Ericsson is going to use a reaction.
Can he do that before an attack?
It's the only time he can do this specific one. So it's triggered, when a target begins an attack roll or begins to cast a spell.
Okay.
He is going to cast Temporal Shunt.
That sounds unpleasant.
Can I have a DC 19 Wisdom saving throw, please, Tock?
Oh, wisdom's not a strength.
Yeah, wisdom's not Tock's strength. Oh, hang on, I've got an advantage on. Tock rolls a 4.
The rest of you see as Tock charges at high speed across to protect Vander. He pulls the Dark Blade up, and Wulf spins, and with a click of his fingers, Tock vanishes. Tock, you have been shunted forward 6 seconds into the future.
Well, poo.
The attack does nothing. Is there anything Tick can do?
He can't really talk or perform an attack, but he can interact with an object, in which case he's just basically going to kick mud onto Wulf Ericsson. It doesn't actually strictly do anything, but it's sort of just a little fuck you, kind of like...
You get a nod from Ruffian. Right up his street.
That's absolutely amazing. Wulf Ericsson is going to use 2 of his legendary actions to bite Vander.
Oh my god.
So Tick is going to use his reaction to protect Vander.
Oh my god.
So the attack will have disadvantage.
The disadvantage bite attack. 14.
The other side of the page was 31.
And
a crit, 31.
and Vander's armor shimmers as he's unable to latch onto Vander.
Thanks to Tick's intervention. All right. beautiful. Oh, look at you guys working as a team. Oh, I'm still going to kill you, but it's lovely to see.
You sound like Augustus's school headmaster.
Petren.
I'm going to cast Gust of Wind and kind of aim it upwards in an attempt to clear some of the clouds. I'm kind of aiming it away from people, so nobody's got to take any kind of damage save. Petren, nobody can see it because it's invisible, but you might hear him stamp his staff down on the ground, and all of a sudden, a strong blast of wind kind of directs diagonally upward from where you last saw Petren into the cloud and vapour above it. You feel it as a light breeze rippling your clothes, but you can see that overhead there's a strong gust of wind taking place.
Nice. Petren, please roll me a D100.
71.
You hear a crack of thunder in the distance.
I'm going to move a small distance to the east.
You are now visible, correct?
I am not visible.
Did you not just do an action to cast a spell?
Oh, I did an action to cast a spell.
Yeah.
So, I briefly flicker into visibility. And then flicker out again. Unseen, he moves a short distance east to get closer to the main melee, but still somewhat separate from it. The elemental can see that he's not going to be able to reach Wulf, so he's going to charge towards Sergei and launch an attack on him. He just blunders up to Sergei and attempts to smash. So 22.
Very much hits.
So that's 14 bludgeoning.
He swipes through a little too easily, like he's not doing the kind of impact he would expect to.
And then another 22, the second attack. And that's just 8. Yeah, so the Earth Elemental lumbers across and just slams both fists down on the ghostly figure of Sergei.
Wulf Ericsson is going to use the last of his legendary actions to swing his sword, the Ancient, at Vander. Oh, and he rolled a natural 1.
You rolled a 1?
Oh.
He is lucky.
What a time to roll it, my word.
Wulf swings the mighty sword at Vander, and Vander stands completely still, moving only at the very last second. The sword would have gone straight through Vander's neck, but by a slight movement, it just goes straight over his shoulder.
Very cool. Very cool.
In what world is a natural 1 of 15?
I know, it's monstrous, isn't it?
I mean, technically, if it wasn't for the natural 1 thing, you would still hit Vander.
Seeksorrow.
Yeah, so I'll take the attack of opportunity from Sergei in order to get... So I'm running away from Sergei up towards Ericsson.
23.
That is a hit.
Please take 13 necrotic damage, and can I have a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, please?
Sergei's more than a zombie.
That's 19.
If you would have failed that, it would have lowered your hit point maximum, so you wouldn't have been able to heal them back.
So, having run up to Ericsson, Seeksorrow's back being the Axeman and tries to chop the warden's legs out from under him.
You got this.
15.
Is a miss.
24.
Is a hit. Roll for damage.
That's a 1, so I'm re-rolling the damage.
So many
Jesus
ones
Christ.
you're rolling, my god.
It's 13 slashing
Nice.
damage with a silver-coated axe weapon. Also like to use second wind, so as a bonus action I can regain 1d10 plus fighter level and hit points.
Can I just say, it's just lovely watching you just use the rules effectively. It's genuinely lovely. It just makes me so happy.
So the d10 is 3, my fighter level is 8, so I can get 11 hit points back. It's easier driving a fighter than a paladin. So endeth Seeksorrow's turn.
Okay, the Aramikos plants are dead. Next up is Mr. Vander Finnick.
Vander casts Misty Step. I am back out of here. So Vander casts Misty Step and takes himself to the east, just out of the battle line, to safety. And he's going to, for his bonus action, use the amulet given to him and he's going to try and hold Wulf in place using the amulet's holding charm.
Motherfucker.
Nice.
Oh.
I think it's DC 15.
Here we go. 22. Success.
It was a good idea.
Wulf swats away the attempt. Although, for the first time, you see a slight panic in his eyes as he looks on the amulet being brandished in his direction.
Vander stows the amulet and yells to Ruffian, "Rip him to bits." And with a roar, Ruffian turns again and throws himself back into combat with Ericsson. Okay, so that's a 22.
He's going to cast Shield, so that is a miss. Shield protecting him from the attack.
The tail comes lashing round, and again he throws himself in, but it's advantage to a second one as well. And unfortunately, the tail is also blocked. But Bellerophon roars in Wulf's face, and the tongue comes out. Lick.
The skeleton's turn. The skeleton shuffles up to the earth elemental, absolutely determined to hit at least once in this combat. At advantage, with a short sword. 20!
It's a hit.
Oh my god, for 9 piercing damage!
Okay. The elemental is now struggling on 117 hit points.
Oh god. Absolutely disgusting. You will hear 2 more cracks of thunder echo around the courtyard, this time further away than the last. And finally, the rain clouds part and sunlight bathes the entire courtyard.
Yes.
In reaction, Wulf's skin begins to sizzle in the sunlight. No! No! He spins the ornate sword over his head as plumes of darkness begin spitting out from its edge, growing larger and larger. Magical darkness begins to fill an area 120 feet in all directions. All light, both natural and magical, are deadened until the start of his next turn.
I'm assuming I can't. Can Seeksorrow do a small thing like in reaction as well? I don't know. Like, is it a reaction like a formal thing you have to have?
Technically, yes, but carry on. You never know.
Well, I've got a little jug of holy water. I'd just like to lash it in his face.
Yeah, go on then.
Yay! I mean, I'm just like a angry
Horrific.
gentleman in the Napoleonic Wars calling out another soldier by throwing a little flask of wine in their face.
If they were throwing holy water at each other, what kind of horrible mix-up is that?
I just mean in the physical manner of that. Yeah, just basically, squeezes the bottle and just tries to lug some holy water all over Ericsson just to see what happens. Maybe it'll put out the sizzling. Maybe I'm helping him. I don't know.
Give me an athletics check. Fuck it. If we're going to do it, let's see how... Because you've tried throwing holy water before, and historically, Augustus, not great at it.
He says throw. He's literally right next to him in combat.
Now let's see how good he is at throwing.
Can I argue for advantage because I'm throwing it like 1 foot?
Yes, you can have an advantage.
17.
The holy water splashes into Ericsson's face and he screams in pain. Finally, his beautiful visage begins to melt away and you see the darkness at his core.
Is that not 2d6 radiant damage? That's what the rules say.
Oh, please roll 2d6 radiant.
Got a bottle of holy water. I checked to see what it does.
Ooh.
It's also radiant damage that stops him regenerating as well.
That's 8.
I mean, the rules also say, isn't it?
I mean, we've basically...
I take everything back
Lessons
that I
learned.
said about you guys knowing the rules. This sucks. And that is the end of Ericsson's normal turn. For his legendary action, he is going to walk.
Jauntily to the side.
Tock, you are back.
He's
The rest of you see Tock suddenly appear, swinging the sword down at nothing.
So the magical darkness, is this just blocking the daylight or are we blind?
You are blind. It is full-on magical darkness.
Okay. And we have no light. So Tock doesn't know where Wulf Ericsson is, basically, and he can't see anything.
Correct.
Okay, in which case...
Tock, the amulet.
Tock is going to run again at high speed towards Vander and really try not to crush him like a train hitting a small stick on the rails.
Vander just closes both his eyes. Rugby tackled by a fridge.
He will swing his large metal-covered arms vaguely around, trying to locate the amulet and not crack Vander on the head. Taking the amulet, he's going to cast Daylight.
The darkness created by Wulf is punctured by the glow of daylight emanating from the amulet.
In which case, that's an action to cast the spell. Mm-hmm. In which case, Tock can't attack, but he can move up next to Wulf, and Tick is going to move to the other side and attack him.
Amazing.
Tick swings his longsword, gets a 27 to hit.
Yes.
And for 9 magical slashing damage. Tick sort of like it's as far as he can move. So as he sort of like charges him, he just like rakes the edge of the sword across the back of Wulf Ericsson's calves, sort of trying to like cut his Achilles tendon.
Oh, bastard! So mean. What has Wulf ever done to you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything.
Wulf Ericsson is going to use another of his legendary actions. Absolutely terrified. Ooh. Oh, you bastards. Wulf is going to cast level 4 Fireball. And he's going to cast it in an area that hits, or what he sees as Seeksorrow, Vander, and Ruffian.
Vander cast counterspell.
Okay. So I would need a DC 14 check for that, please.
13. Oh my god.
Fails. Can I have dexterity saving throws from Vander, Seeksorrow, Ruffian, and Petren, who is caught in the flames?
9 for Vander, and Ruffian shares the... Oh, actually, 3 for Ruffian, so no better.
Both fails.
16 for Seeksorrow.
Fail.
Is it a narrow fail? Because I could make my argument about proficiency bonuses.
You would need 3 more to succeed.
I withdraw my statement.
20 for Petren.
That is 28 fire damage.
Could be worse.
For those who failed, and half that for those who succeeded.
Vander stands still as the flames course over his body, not touching him.
Clarify?
The crown.
Oh, you
I'm immune to fire damage! What is happening?
Yeah, I'm going to use a reaction to cast...
What is going on?
Absorb elements.
Ah, good man. It's a good spell.
Ooh.
So that halves it again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I am simply going to catch fire and take the damage.
That's why you're my favourite. That's why you're the best. God damn it.
If only I had a small bottle of water.
Petren.
So Petren is going to move a bit closer behind Seeksorrow and Vander, and I'm going to cast Cure Wounds on Seeksorrow.
Yes.
I'm going to do that at level 2. So that's 2d8 plus 4. So that's 16 wounds healed for Seeksorrow.
Much appreciated.
And I think that is the end of my turn. Petren remains invisible throughout, so it might be a slightly disconcerting experience for Seeksorrow.
Yeah. It's a bandage hovering in front of his face.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like if you caught fire and some invisible something seemed to put it out and like dab some cool something on you, you'd be like, all right, the second part of that was fine.
I'll accept this.
Elemental's turn.
I think the elemental is riled by the attack from Sergei. Going to continue to smash him. I think he's quite usefully occupying these two. So let's keep going with that. 26.
Yeah.
So 11 for the first.
Sergei's ghostly visage does not look as corporeal as it did seconds earlier.
And second attack is 25.
Hits.
Oof. And that one's 18.
Earth Elemental, tell us a story.
There appears to be a look of something approaching fury on the elemental's stony face, and it just continues to wail on this semi-transparent figure of Sergei. Doesn't seem to be concerned by the fact that its blows don't land in the way you'd expect blows to land on a corporeal being. Despite this, he just continues to slam away, and eventually his fist goes straight through Sergei, who shatters into a 1,000 tiny pieces and scatters on the wind.
Oh, beautiful. What a beautiful way to describe the second death of Sergei Ericsson.
Not Vander numbers.
Also, maybe third death, because there was the fungal corpse reanimated thing down in the crypt.
That's a good call. Oh yeah, that is grim. I'm a horrible person. Cool, Seeksorrow.
Seeksorrow continues his spree of chasing Ericsson around his castle courtyard and trying to hit him with an axe for 26.
Nice.
And that is 9 slashing damage. And he will do a second attack also with the axe for 23. And I'm going to re-roll the damage.
So many ones. So many ones.
Weird. 15 slashing damage.
Definitely making the most of that, fighting style thing.
Seeksorrow slashes first one way, then the other with the axe, smashing into Ericsson with both attacks, the second one biting deep into Ericsson's shoulder.
Vander and Ruffian.
Vander turns to Ruffian, who's still on fire from the last attack, and yells,
Dispatch the undead. This is my final command to you, Ruffian.
and with that, Vander begins to mutter complex words under his breath, and then his hands, gnarled as they are, come out from his robes and begin to tear his skin away as Vander casts Polymorph and begins to change shape. Skin gives way to scales and Vander grows to a monstrous size. His mouth elongates and turns to fangs much like Ruffian's, but then bigger and taller. And finally, standing where Vander was, is a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I was sure that was going to be T-Rex.
Yes.
I mean, if anyone comes for a Frost Hollow Castle tour, the sight in the courtyard is just absolutely insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's currently entirely pitch black, apart from the small orb of light that we've got around us.
The T-Rex circles round one side of Wulf, and then looking over Wulf, looks directly towards a flaming ruffian who bellows at the skies as he again closes on Wulf and begins to shred with all of his claws. That's with a 9 added, so that's a 17.
Miss.
Much better.
17 with the additional 9, so a shocking 26.
Is very much a hit. Roll for some damage.
Oh, he's got the 10, plus 3, so 13, plus the spellcasters, so that's 17.
Ooh,
the tail
very nice.
whips round, and it beds itself in Wolf's torso, twisting in as it does so.
And Wulf Ericsson looks bloodied.
Nice.
He also gets a battle lick.
Meanwhile, Billy the skeleton swings with his short sword for 18.
I think it's a hit, isn't it? It was a 17.
Yeah, it is a hit, yeah.
Yeah, it is. For a whopping 5 piercing damage. Take that, elemental. Billy for the win.
I mean, this is where the real fight's happening, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yep. Battle for the ages.
I mean, the T-Rex, the Vampire Lord, 2 Autom, who cares about that? This is all about Billy the skeleton versus the unnamed elemental.
Versus the earth itself.
I mean, Billy was a hardworking blue cloak about 10 minutes ago. Then he got smashed into the ground, raised into the air, smashed into the ground again, and now he's fighting a pile of stones in zombie form.
Have the Blue Cloaks actually done anything in this battle other than provide corpses?
They were terrified by his sudden appearance and brutal murder of 4 of them. They also don't have weapons that can actually do any damage against him. So
Well,
We've just assembled a crowd.
Just for fun, could you describe what the blue cloaks are doing right now?
they're currently
In
Luarin's
darkness.
up there smoking a pipe. He's doing good work. This is excellent. I don't think Wolf's going to win this one, you know. I think we're going to be fine. Poor old Billy, though, he's given it his best shot down there. It's good.
On the plus side, seeing as we established that they only wear cloaks and no other clothes,
We did not.
when they all pissed themselves in fear, there was no staining.
Should I ask what happened when Petren sent a massive gust of wind upwards from from inside the castle?
The Scottish problem.
Yeah.
Ooh, and that is the end of round 4, and I am out of lair actions.
Nice.
So from the daylight created by the Amulet of Ravenkind, you see Wulf Ericsson's skin begin to bubble and burn, and he screams in agony as he takes 20 hit points of damage from that. Overhead, you hear a high-pitched whistling sound. But before you can focus on that, you see flying through the entrance, her beetle wings on full display, is Seraphina.
Squirrel.
Landing, she raises her staff in the air and begins
Aye.
to summon a
Reinforcements.
swirling pink portal in the corner of the courtyard. Make it quick. The Ravager is overhead. The Emperor is on his way. So, we are back to the top of the round with Wulf Ericsson, as the darkness that he had created has now completely vanished. He is sizzling, in pain, and surrounded. You have your exit. In desperation, he swings the Ancient at Tock.
Okay, Tick is going to use his reaction to impose disadvantage.
Nice, very nice. So, first attack is an 18.
No.
He swings
check.
the second attack, 24.
So, again, Tock's shield glows a brilliant blue, like crackling lightning colour, and it expands in size to catch the attack.
Frustrated at being unable to breach the defences of the automaton, he turns his attention to the only human he can see and launches into a vicious bite attack against Seeksorrow.
Grief.
16.
My AC is 16.
Meets it, beats it.
It feels like Ericsson just doesn't want me to be on this podcast.
Please take 1 piercing damage and 12 necrotic damage. Okay, so your hit point maximum is reduced by an amount equal to the necrotic damage taken. And Ericsson regains hit points equal to that amount. The reduction lasts until you have a long rest. Yeah.
But because of a certain aberration, he can't regain hit points until the next turn.
I hate you, Harry King! Shove your rulebook up your ass!
This was Charlie's doing.
He was silent like a good boy.
My tail is also doing that, though.
Very, very good. Well, he still did some damage at the very least. So that is the end of his turn. He's immediately, in desperation, going to use 2 legendary actions to take another bite attack at Seeksorrow.
What's Seeksorrow done to him?
13.
That is a miss.
Oh my word, what a waste. Things are not looking good for Mr. Wolf. Tock.
Do I just attack him? Or... Yeah, okay, so Tock, with Tick's assistance, is going to grab Wulf Ericsson with his left hand and attempt to grapple him. Because if his movement is 0...
Contested strength check. Score to beat is 23.
Oh, shit. Right, well, Tock gets advantage, and his armor is going to glow with, like, a crackling lightning, which is going to add +5 to his athletics, which is going to result in 27.
You have successfully grappled a vampire lord. Add it to the list!
To add insult to injury, Tick's gonna kick him in the back of the knee to try and like collapse him to the ground. Which will be basically another of the same athletics check.
24.
28.
Oh my god!
Tock grabs him with his shield hand, like on the arm, pushes him, like holds him in place, and Tick kicks him in the back of the knee, collapsing his structure. And Tock basically is just gonna like force him into the dirt face first, and then he has one attack action left to get a quick stab in before the rest of the party like pile on. By the way, this gives advantage to everyone in melee range with him.
Yep.
Right, one attack is a 20 to hit.
He casts shield.
Ha, fair enough. See, I could drag him towards the portal, but I think there's a T-Rex in the way, so it might wait. Can I next turn? Can I like grapple and feed him into the T-Rex?
You know the T-Rex will allow it.
Next up is Petren.
So I think Petren is feeling like, while he's made himself useful, he's not necessarily hurt Wulf Ericsson a great deal in this battle. And seeing that they've kind of got him at an advantage, I think he's going to come in closer and, reaching into his robes, pull out his bottle of holy water and just pitch it at the vampire.
Give me an athletics check.
17.
Nice. When it explodes and like burns Wulf Ericsson, you see Tock react in a slightly nervous way because obviously the water's going to cover him as well. As if he doesn't really know what's going to happen there.
Is this acid?
So that's 11.
Oh my word. Starting to rack up the damage now.
And I think this time, although Wulf is kind of face down in the dirt, I think Petren is going to not return to his invisible state on the off chance that he might see who it is who has caused him that pain. So the elemental is going to...
He's in the fight of the century against Billy the Bluecoat here, for God's sake.
The elemental is going to swing at Billy the Bluecloak.
They put fans in the stands.
That's 27 to hit.
Yes.
And 8 damage.
Elemental, please tell us a second story.
The elemental had almost looked like he'd forgotten Billy was there because he was focused on Sergei.
Slander.
And he just kind of half turns and with a backhand swipe just slams him into the castle wall.
Let me tell you, Billy's having the absolute worst day as possible to have.
And the elemental's going to lumber forward in case there's any need for him to get involved.
Very nice. Seeksorrow.
Seeksorrow's just going to keep... Well, can I hit Ericsson, even though
Yeah.
my friends are sort of wrapped around him?
Yeah, absolutely. You
Yeah.
can hit at advantage.
In that case, I shall do that, please. 26.
Yep. Can't stop that.
12 slashing damage. And he hammers again. 26. 15 slashing damage. Seeksorrow cuts off a small bit of Ericsson's leg and then a slightly bigger bit of Ericsson's leg. He's just going to slice him into little thin pieces.
And they call me the monster.
T-Rex Vander.
With his little T-Rex arms rubbing his belly. Vander Rex leans down, jaws agape, and fixes on Wolf's head.
Vander Rex.
Does the bite thing get a grappled condition as well?
Yes, it does.
Nice.
The biter becomes the bit.
Let's see if he hits first. That's right.
28! Woo!
There's nothing I can do to stop that. I've got nothing. Okay, yep, that's a hit.
And that is a shocking... So that's a 41.
Oh my
And
God.
also because he's medium or smaller, I am also now grappling with a DC 17 save.
Okay, let's do the save. 20. He isn't grappled. He's only grappled by the automatons.
God damn, I'm a T-Rex.
I know.
The hell? Okay, well, I just saw my teeth back and forth. An absolute horror show.
And they call me the monster.
with my mouth full, my T-Rex eye looks in the direction of Ruffian. And again, both claws and tail scythe down towards Wolf. So with the claws, natural 20.
Aha!
Oh, okay.
D10 plus 3 plus 4. So D10 plus 3. So 10 plus 4. So 14 doubled up, 28. That's a lot of damage going in.
That is a lot of damage.
Okay, and the second attack, that's with a 9 plus, so that's 24. So 38, 44. 44.
44?
Yeah. This is a 28 for the crit, and then 14 for that one.
Yeah, okay.
So Ruffian, finally getting into his stride, leans forward, and his two massive arms fix onto Wolf either side, the claws pushing inwards ever more painfully and powerfully as he's gripped him in that pincer-like vice grip. His tail comes right over the top and just punches down through Wolf and into the ground, piercing his shoulder.
I'm starting to think Augustus had very little chance in a one-on-one with this guy.
Wulf Ericsson, despite being held by the two automatons, you see him muttering as body covered in blood and literally falling apart as he summons a dimension door.
Ah, no. We've got no counter stuff.
However, a second later and the dimension door vanishes, and appearing next to him from thin air through smoke is the form of Alexa Storm.
Oh.
She smiles.
Oh, you're doing very well. He's not long for this world.
Suddenly, a bolt of energy ripples across the courtyard. A magical shield of smoke protects Alexa from the attack as she spins to face the caster. Seraphina. Can I have perception checks from you all, please? DC 24.
Well,
I've got the perception of a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Good luck.
I rolled Petren rolled a 17.
Are they moving? I'm better if they're moving.
They are moving.
But my vision is based on movement. Well,
It's 16 for Seeksorrow.
How are you going to communicate what you see?
17 for Tock. And 21 for Tick.
I mean, I needed a natural 20 to get 24 there.
yeah, I've got passive perception of 14. So how does that work? What does that mean?
Well, it's not as high as 24.
Yeah, you passively don't perceive anything.
Oh, so I can't roll for it. I just
You can roll for it. The same as everyone else.
Yeah, like someone oblivious to a pickpocket, you don't.
roll a 5.
Okay, so that's all fails. Okay.
Okay, but the T-Rex is suspicious.
Sorry,
Cool.
hang on. You mean the presence of the T-Rex is suspicious, or the T-Rex itself is suspicious about something
I think
else?
Vander, his vision is blurred, but he's definitely aware that something is going on in the blurry haze that is his peripherals.
It's something to do with my hands.
Yeah, his little hand points in that direction.
He's trying to comb his T-Rex hair.
Alexa Storm and Seraphina get into a battle of spells while you continue to fight Wulf Ericsson. At the end of Wulf Ericsson's turn, he's going to immediately use 2 legendary actions to viciously lurch out and attempt one last time to bite at Seeksorrow.
This fucking guy. Is trying to like bite my foot or something?
I mean, he's got all the disadvantage.
18.
That is a hit. What the fuck? The Tick and Tock have got a hold of this guy.
I'm trying to keep him away from you. But it's like holding on to a small terrier.
That is 6 piercing damage and 10 necrotic damage.
Seeksorrow starting to look slightly poorly.
Okay.
And does it also bring down my hit points?
Yes, it does. By 10, please. Tock and Tick.
Right, I think we're going to have to carry on putting the hurt on him. Or drag him towards the... If Tock looks up, can he see the Ravager above him?
You can look up as an interaction.
I would say, like, can we see a big shadow above us? Like, should I be hauling him towards the portal? Tock will quickly check up on the air.
Up in the air, you can see a shadow moving incredibly fast directly towards your position. It is enormous. Not An airship, however. This is a living creature of some kind, but it looks streamlined as it flies through the air.
And how quick, like imminent hitting, or
It will likely reach you by the end of this round.
this round? Okay, cool. In which case,
And if you'd like to communicate that to your friends, I'm sure they'd be appreciative.
no, I'm just gonna jump through the portal and leave.
No. See you later, losers. Get in. We're going to the mall.
Oh, I could actually make it. Yeah, okay. Tock is going to start dragging Wulf Ericsson on the ground towards the portal. Technically, he can make it through this round. I'm not entirely sure whether I should or not, but could everyone make it through the portal? This is an important consideration. Yes, everyone can make it through the portal this round, which is probably a great idea. Yeah, okay. Tock and Tick are going to drag Wulf Ericsson through the portal. So, boop, we are now skedaddling. But, I mean, he also is going to still keep on stabbing him with the dark blade whilst dragging him. So, it's yeah.
Son of a bitch. Roll the attack.
It's the old dragon stab.
Yeah, dragon
From the
stab.
sweetheart.
The good old-fashioned dragon stab.
Imagine the most kindly character I've seen dragging someone through an intentional portal while stabbing him.
I must have missed that episode of Quantum Leap.
22 to hit.
Oh, boy.
Oh, Sam.
No, he's
What
doing
have
the
you
old
done?
dragon stab again.
14 piercing damage.
Wolf has no more shield spells to cast.
Aha.
So, yep.
And his second attack is a 29 for, unfortunately, only 11 piercing damage.
Tock,
Oh.
No.
please tell us a story.
So Tock isn't even really aware that Wulf Ericsson is dead, because as he's dragging him along, he's just stabbing down into his torso with the dark blade just over and over again, just like a crazed serial killer. Like,
Oh my god.
and so the others just see like Wolf's like corpse basically being dragged behind him with the sword still going in and out as he goes through the portal.
Tock and Tick drag Wulf Ericsson towards the portal, stabbing at him the whole way. The rest of you see as his body disintegrates from the feet up.
As he's doing this, Tock is going to also say, "Alarm! Alarm! Flee!" to the rest of the party.
But they are still holding one of his hands as they enter the portal.
That's some
Cool.
epic multitasking.
It's Petren.
I think Petren's going to shout, "What's happening? Have we won? Why is Tock running? What's going on?"
So seeing the mishmash of large reptiles from different eras and the incoming shadow and the fight between the little girl who might be a demon and someone called Squirrel who looks like a person, Seeksorrow says, "I think we should follow the robots," and starts running and kind of gestures to Petren to do the same, starts running towards the portal.
I think Petren's going to start to run, but wants to see what's happening in this battle.
Curiosity killed the what?
Peanut Gallery!
Foreboding. Also Paladin.
Maybe is it sort of safe to say that as the battle's finished and Petren's now entered quite a confused psychological state, maybe it breaks his concentration and the elemental disappears?
Yep, that works.
I mean, I think he's very confused because the battle clearly has not finished.
Well, yeah, that exactly. He doesn't.
Remove that Seeksorrow.
So I can sprint through the portal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Seeksorrow's going to do that.
And with a... he disappears. Tyrannosaurus Vander?
Well,
Is that right?
Vander's, yeah. Or Vander Rex. Yeah,
Vander
Vander's-
Rex. Vander Rex.
Vander Rex.
Yeah, so Vander Rex's vision, as I say, is based on movement. So he's not entirely sure Wulf is dead. But like following his favorite chew toy, the Tyrannosaur has wheeled around and is now just chasing what he believes is the remains of Wulf through the portal. So at a dinosaur run, it just disappears. Wondering where its master's going, and with an inquisitive lick, Ruffian just follows on through. So both lizards just disappear through the portal.
Like a dog chasing a tennis ball.
And then another dog chasing the first dog. Yeah.
Vandosaurus Rex, I have saved a chew toy for you. And he has a hand in his hand.
I'll tell you what, that gets snapped along with your hand.
Yeah.
Petren, can I have a dexterity saving throw, please?
Well, because the T-Rex just ran over him.
What have I done? 13.
That is a fail. As Seraphina and Aurora face one another, each summoning powerful spells, Seraphina calls out,
She can't be allowed to leave.
The air crackles with raw energy as the two face off against each other. Arcane fury as spells are hurled from one to the other, each able to counter or avoid any damage. The portal Seraphina created that the others have already gone through begins to crackle. As the two are dancing around the courtyard, neither gaining an advantage, an explosion rips through the air and engulfs them both and you in an inferno of pain.
Ah.
Fuck.
I assume Seraphina had enough time to get away.
Assumed I would.
Please take 61 fire damage.
Oh my god!
Can I use absorb elements as a reaction?
Yes, you can.
Cool. So that's 30.
The shockwave of the blast damages the walls of the castle as it hits them, and the courtyard is engulfed in flame. After the initial inferno dies away, you can see the charred remains of Seraphina stood in the same place she had been before. She turns, her eyes a bright white beacon against what remains of her utterly charred body.
Go.
She mutters, as behind her a huge creature lands onto the cobblestone floor at speed. It unfurls itself to its full height of 20 feet. As you recognise the terrifying form of an adult red dragon. His crimson scales shimmer like molten metal, and while its eyes burn like the five hells themselves, you can't help but fail to notice around its horned head floats a crown of pure arcane energy, and seemingly controlling its mind. Wisdom saving throw, please, DC 19.
That's 10.
You are frightened.
Yeah, I'm frightened.
I am Cinderim the Great. Kneel before your master.
Cinderim lowers his head, and you see clearly, sat on a leather throne attached to its back, is Emperor Salazar. With the half-mask covering his old and tainted face. He draws a sword from its scabbard and raises it high into the air, as slowly, floating down alongside him, is the figure of Paragon Ra. Cinderim opens his mouth as a swirling ball of fire grows at the back of his throat. Petren, what would you like to do?
Well, first I'm going to cast my last hidden step to become invisible. So Petren quickly turns himself invisible to try to make aiming at least a little more difficult, and then dives for the portal.
The charred form of Seraphina begins to disintegrate. As you sprint for the portal, it begins to flicker. Looking back one last time as you leap through, you see, to your surprise, Paragon Ra exploding to dust, and the echoing voice of Alexa Storm saying,
Oh, your friend seems to have burst. How embarrassing. Oh, I recognize that sword. I think it belonged to my father.
and we will end it there.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Petren Oakflower, Alex Morrison as Seeksorrow, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, and Harry King as Tock, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support: Zeus Legion, Zero Nova, Sepulchre Stennet, Marky B, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sikora, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, SJ Phionics, Richard Ungamus, Rabbi Camel, Team Stay Toxic, Path Pursuit, Paris, Pakar, Liz, Beckett, Julia, Zeno, Shovels, Queenie, and a special extra thanks to our very own Council of Rojan, Mama Strange, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
Harry, any final thoughts? Not final. Any initial thoughts?
Whoops! Suddenly I'm very worried that these might be the final thoughts.
No? Nothing on your mind?
Nope. Just sheer anxiety.
The only thing I'd say is that my motivation here is that this guy killed the only nobleman that I've ever truly loved.
Prince Philip?
And cut!
I thought Prince Philip was a vampire.
I tell you what, without Cuthbert here, he's lost.
Yes,
I'm just a foot soldier. In a salacious grin of wanton violence.
That's a lot of emotion for a chameleon's face.
It can be very expressive.
He's a fighter, guys. Seriously. Dangerous creature in bed.
I
He
think
grappled Paragon Own.
I'm starting to think that your obsession with Cuthbert being a demon is...
projection, yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, because
He didn't
Bellerophon
I really
or
want to
Van
turn
is
to
a demon?
Bellerophon directly now. He didn't mean it by pet.
To pull someone in front of him, sacrifice them to save his own life?
Exactly.
There's
It's
no
not
rule
quite,
for this. I
it's
thought it
not
would come
quite-
up all the time.
Exactly. I'm not used to buttering kiwis, but I'm using a basic kiwi recipe. What you need, Dom, and what Wolf has overlooked is pseudocreme.
Yeah. Actually, I've got some pseudocreme with lidocaine in it in my dad bag, so it's got basically a topical anaesthetic.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff is like a Bezoar. It heals everything. I don't know why we don't have hospitals that just have people who apply pseudocreme.
Just a vat of it. You just dug the people in.
Yeah.
It's like the
Broken
tanks
bone,
in Star Wars.
pseudocreme.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm in the pay of big pseudocreme. Hell of a fight, guys.
That was awesome! You guys fucking nailed it!
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Have we, though, just released way bigger evil into the world? I think Vander might have warned us this would happen.
It's like the itsy bitsy spider owl.
Yeah, when he swallowed the demonic thing in a child suit to catch the fly.
Sooner or later, you're using T-Rexes to take out vampires, and then you only release terrifying little girls with unimaginable power.
You mean the little girl? I thought you meant the enormous red dragon that we'd unleashed on the world.
Well,
that's
didn't
we.
yeah.
I mean, you guys.
You obviously never got to verse 28 of the song.
You swallowed a terrifying dragon to catch the...
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our link tree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.